Hello everyone, hello YouTube, hello, and welcome back to my channel, Samba World. So nice to see you again. I am Felipe, o Gato de Salto, and I'm here today to talk to you about something very important. It doesn't matter if you are a dancer, or a musician, or just an enthusiast about samba. It is always very important to know this history of what we love. I am not a scholar, I am not a historian. I am a sambista. I am a samba dancer, and I did my research. There are things that I've learned along the years, but of course sometimes it might be that I got my facts wrong. If you know better, please send me a message and educate me. Alright, shall we start? Alright, so you can address me now by Professor de Salto. Okay, so as I said, history is always very important. Especially if you're passionate about something, it's good to know your facts. So, let's start. Samba. Samba is an originally Brazilian music rhythm or dance. We Brazilians, we value a lot what comes from abroad and from other countries. We love goods that are imported from Europe, from the United States, from other countries in general. Also art, music, dance. Now, there are great ballet dancers that are from Brazil all around the world working in opera houses. There are many things that are valued in the current Brazilian society that are foreign. But when it comes to samba, I'm not saying that it's valued the way I think it should be, but samba is an art form that is completely Brazilian. What is Brazil? Brazil is a mixture of cultures. We've got the Portuguese, we've got other European people and folk, Japanese, African communities. It's a cultural melting pot. That's what Brazil is, a big mixture of everything. And with samba, it is not different. So basically, samba is a mixture between African beats and European music styles. But let's go back in history. The first thing you should know is that Brazil was discovered by the Portuguese, and when the Portuguese settled in Brazil, we lived as a colony for a very long time. At the time, the way that the system was working and built was on slavery, unfortunately. And many slaves were imported from Africa between, let's say, the mid-1600s and the late 1800s, when slavery was abolished. Now bear with me, I don't want to lose your interest. I know history sometimes is heavy. You feel me? If you think of Brazil as, well, on this side for you, as a heart, and the African continent on this side, and if you get a line and you cross it from Bahia, the state of Bahia, straight towards the African continent, you get to modern days Angola. They did have a port, which was the port of Luanda, modern capital of Angola. And most of the slaves embarked to Brazil from that port, from Luanda. And they were from tribes from that region, and some more distant tribes, but they all went through there towards Brazil. So of course, when they went to Brazil, they brought with them their own customs and traditions, and also their own music styles, religion and dance. So they had drumming and dancing incorporated in their own ways of celebrating, in their religious rituals. So at the time, especially in the state of Bahia, that's where, the slaves were also kept in larger numbers, and they could, socialize and eventually celebrate or practice their religion undercover, because it was not allowed. And Brazil, that's very sad and shameful, but Brazil was the last Western country to abolish slavery in 1888. And in 1889, Brazil became a republic with its first capital being Rio. So when the slavery was abolished, the capital was Rio. Many slaves or ex-slaves, let me put it this way, many people who were enslaved went to Rio looking for new job opportunities and to make a life. So many of them arrived at the central part of the city of Rio. And one of these settlements is very important for us today because it's located near the port, which means that the people could find jobs on a daily basis or even get engaged for a longer period of time, but they could access the area, more easily. And the housing in that area was also affordable. So we've got one settlement very close to a place which is a monument if you are a sambista, and it is a historical place, which is Pedra do Sal. So these people who came to the settlement, they would lead a normal life, which means that they would practice their religion and celebrate. That's when they would play the drums. But any cultural gathering of African origin was prohibited by law, which means that they could actually get arrested just by playing capoeira, for example, or doing candomblé rituals, performing candomblé rituals, or just playing the drums for any type of celebration. But it is in these settlements, just like close to the Pedra do Sal in the city center of Rio, that the drumming evolved into jongo, and the jongo evolved into partido alto, and partido alto evolved into samba. Of course, not in the format that we know nowadays, but samba, nevertheless. Now, if we get this word, samba, and we look into the etymology of the word, that means where the word comes from, we basically have a few options. So one of the origins of the word could be the word samba. Samba comes from the Kimundo language, which is a Bantu language originated in Angola. And it means basically a connection or connecting, putting together, hitting, if you will, belly buttons. Belly buttons? Yes, belly buttons. Your core. And I like that very much because when you dance samba, every move comes from your core. And the center of your core, of course, is your heart. But the belly button has such a poetic meaning to it, don't you think? It's like it's your connection to your mother, your connection to where you came from. So I like this definition very, very much. And why connecting or hitting belly buttons? Apparently this is a dance move, or was a dance move. I don't know if it's still danced in any of the Afro varieties, but when two dancers used to connect their belly buttons, just touching them, that is samba. That is samba. Another possible origin for the word samba is the word samba coming from another Bantu language called Umbundu, and it means being happy. So whichever origin you prefer, I quite like them both. So one way or the other, these people were socializing and trying to socialize by playing the music, playing the drums, dancing the way they wanted, the way they knew how, and that was forbidden by law. So they were somehow punished and expelled from the public areas. So that's when these gatherings started happening inside private houses. And these houses didn't just belong to anyone, they belonged to the aunties and grannies. These ladies were candomblé priestesses, and they encouraged the playing of the drums, the dancing, everything. So in an indirect way, they also encouraged the development of samba. And one of the most famous ones of all was called Ciata. And she had her house on Praça, Onze, which up to this date is considered to be the birthplace of samba. It was there that in 1916, the first ever recorded samba song came to be. The song is called Pelo Telefone. Let's hear it.
O chefe da folia pelo telefone manda me avisar que com alegria não se questione para se brincar. Ai, 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 é deixar mágoas pra trás, oh rapaz. Ai, ai.
So yeah, it sounds a lot different from the samba that we know today. But how did we go from this to this? Well, as I said, that other song was recorded in 1916, and you know, eventually, with the influence of other European rhythms like the waltz, the polka, it also got in the machiche, very important, and it became more and more popular and made its way into the ballrooms of the elite. And eventually, it was also used for the carnival celebrations. And these carnival celebrations, although they looked very much different from what we know today, were already being performed in the 30s, so from the 1930s onwards. And please, people, do not underestimate the importance of samba and its history. Even the United Nations, the UNESCO, recognized samba de roda as an oral and intangible heritage of the humanity in 2005. So this, as I said, was just a very brief information and informative summary of the history of samba, something that will help dancers and musicians understand a little bit more of where it comes from. It's very important, some of the names and the places I said. If you have the chance to visit Rio, make sure you do it and go to the city centre and try to find these places. Go to the Pedra de Sal, read more about Ciata and the Praça Onze. And you know, if you need help, there is a great sambista, an amazing dancer, Pablo Guerreiro, and he offers tours in the city centre talking exactly about what I talked today, even in further detail about the history of samba. So I will leave a link to his Instagram profile on the description of this video, so you guys can get in touch with him if you want to. There are also the references to where I got my facts today, and that's it. So now you know a little bit more about samba. Value it, because it is an heritage of the humanity. Thank you very much for joining me today and for watching, and don't forget, please subscribe to the channel so you get notifications that a new video is out. Leave a like if you like the video, comment, ask questions, make suggestions. I would love to hear from you. So thank you very much for having me today, and I'll see you next time. Mwah!